I'm here talking to Will Sinclair, who's just completed a social realism film. Hi, Will.
Hi there.
Can I just ask you, what's the planned audience for this latest film?
So the audience that I've chosen for this film is sort of kids from sort of 17 to about 18 who are new to sort of drugs. And
OK, so what was it that made you decide on this particular audience?
Because I find that there's not a lot of films out that sort of concentrate on kids that aren't being sort of pushed in by their friends or other kids at school, and I just think that's a new sort of audience to attract.
OK, so it sounds like you've maybe hit on a particular theme that you want to explore. Have you got any more concepts that you maybe aim to target this audience with in the future?
Yes, I think for sort of next 2 or 3 films I'd like to sort of aim at this particular audience again, because I think there's so much that can be explored, seeing as it hasn't been previously.
It's very easy to come up with a concept of an audience, but it's another thing totally to actually attract that audience to come and see your work. How did you actually get people from your target audience to come and see your work?
Right, well, I actually, before I made the film, I interviewed a few people at school, you know, that have had experience with drugs, but have not been sort of brought up with it, and that helped me a lot and what to include in the film, and I think that I did quite a good job at that, sort of made it as real as possible, but not making it too silly.
In doing this thing, because drugs is quite it's one of those topics that everybody thinks they know about, but there are quite a lot of layers to that topic. Were there any particular challenges that you had in actually trying to do this work, trying to find this audience and trying to make it all work?
Yeah, I think, like I just said, I wanted to try and make it as real as possible without making it, over the top, sort of, obvious that that person's going to get into sort of drugs and stuff. So I sort of tried to get someone who wouldn't be attracted. So the character in the film is actually an athlete. He plays rugby, and he's quite a well-off sort of kid, and he's good at school. And I just think that's a really good sort of thing. People wouldn't necessarily guess. I just think there's a good background towards that, why he would struggle with drugs.
Obviously, you're not going to be at school forever, and you're going to use this audience, which is obviously a very realistic audience at the moment. How would you develop your sort of audience attraction skills, I suppose, for want of a better phrase, when you maybe move away from school or maybe do another film, you don't want to set it in that audience? How would you go about attracting a new sort of audience?
I guess I'd probably go into better research methods, so maybe send out surveys of some kind, and maybe send in people I can trust into schools and stuff to ask the sort of correct questions and get a good sort of reading from it, so it wouldn't waste of time and stuff. And that's what I'd probably do.
Okay, is there anything else that you could tell me about, just about the general sort of ideas that you've got behind filmmaking?
Well, this particular one, I think, as obviously as it's finished, is the one that I have a full idea of. I don't really have much clue at the moment of what I'm going to do for the next year. But, I've got sort of ideas somewhere around in my head, but I'm going to try and keep that secret.
OK, so one last question. With anything, it's an experience. Have you learnt anything about yourself from this particular film?
I've never been tempted to take drugs or anything, really. I mean, I'd say I'm like the character in the way that I've not been brought up with sort of drugs around me. I mean, a few of my friends, they may sort of have had experiences. What I've learned is probably that, it's actually quite a common thing.
OK, thanks very much, and good luck in the future.
Great, thanks.